probably like the best produced podcast in the Middle East, from what I've seen.
We're rolling, right? Guys, we're rolling. We got that. We need that voice.
I'll say it again. Seriously, I was seriously impressed. I was like, God, because I've been just seeing clips. You sent me those clips and everything. I went and saw the rest. It was like,
bro, if we're going to start jerking each other off, bro, I'm so proud of you, man. You're like legit, bro, like in killing it.
dim the lights.
Dim the lights. You are listening to our podcast, Wingman, Flirting with Life, sponsored by the Dubai-based community brand Monkeys Everywhere. I am your host, your wingman, Raed Saadi. And my co-wingman on the episode is someone the entire Lebanese, Arab, and American community is very proud of. The first Lebanese stand-up comedian to sell out venues at the most important stages all around the world. Cover of Rolling Stones, CNN, BBC, and 8 full feature fucking shows under his belt. Practically, what's next for him is world domination. Please welcome my friend, Nimmer.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Welcome to the Wingman Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I know you're so busy. And we just watched a huge show with, was it 4,000 people? Like, that's what it looked like.
It was huge. I don't know the exact number because I didn't produce that show. It was, they got me, but yeah, something like that.
Dude, I saw the amount of people in the audience. I mean, I wanted to cry because I was so proud of my friend up there, my Lebanese American friend, but I was just like, he's too funny. How can I can't cry right now. But just,
dude, thank you, man. You and I have been friends for a while. I've known you since, I think, like on a personal level, since like 2014, has it been? 2015?
Yeah, it's been.
In the US. So I'm actually super proud of you. I'm excited to be here with you.
I know, it's amazing. I mean, look at where we've been. I mean, your journey has been excellent, and just like following what you're doing, it's just insane. But I mean, in the intro, we talk about world domination, and that's the first thing I want to get into. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
So while we were doing the research, the whole producers were like stalking you and researching.
Let's do it.
We saw a little thing that you said on the AUB alumni website, and I'm gonna quote. Are you ready? It says, a massive audience in one place, but broadcasting everywhere, so the whole world laughs together at the same time, to the same jokes, on the same planet. Just to confirm, is that by Nemr Abou Nassar or Nemr Abou Rabba?
No, that's the goal. That's my ultimate dream. Like when people usually ask me, like, what is the final destination? I would love to get to the level of fame and recognition where I could one day do a show in one place, but we live stream it all over the world. And like, I'm important enough that people from all continents are tuning in, watching together, laughing together. And I feel like that would just send the most powerful message that we're all a lot closer to each other than we think. Like that is like my dream. That's why I stream on Twitch. I embrace all of this technology because I'm always in that pursuit. I know that it's going to take another maybe 15, 20 years, but like, I'm always, that's in my mind. Like if I can make it that it's more than just, I could sell out big venues, because that's like, it's been done before.
And you've done it many times.
I've done it many times. I've been very fortunate. Thank you.
Gangsta.
But I want it to mean something more than just like personal success. I want it to be like a world success.
So basically,
yes,
it's a strong sense of self-belief. I mean, this kind of dream is a little crazy. And knowing my history, when somebody believes in something so big, I mean, people are like, you're crazy, right? I mean, you're a Lebanese guy who's never going to end up on like Netflix. But I mean, if you dream big, I mean, I want it to end up in Hollywood, in Netflix. I mean, and you have that same thing. And where does that come from? Like that huge sense of self-belief?
It just from my parents not believing in me at all when I was growing up. I think you had to do it yourself as a Lebanese guy, constantly being, cut down, but in a way that I feel like the way we were raised, not all of us, but I've been lucky enough that my parents would always discourage me in front of my face, but give me all the tools to do what I needed to do if I so chose.
Yeah.
Like they would warn me of the pitfalls, but also like prepare me to succeed. That mixed with a great degree of naivety, I think are like two of the most important things for success. Like I always tell people, like if you're going to go for broke, do it as young as possible. Because once you start to get older, you start to realize exactly how difficult what you're thinking of doing is, and then you start to encumber yourself. But if you're younger and you're like, I want to be on Netflix, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to sell out venues, whatever. I can do it. When you're 18, you're like, I can do it. You genuinely believe you can fucking do it. Like you believe it. And when you're 30, you'll be like, I don't know my child. I need
Yeah.
food. Like there's responsibilities. So dream big and go for broke early on. And that way, if it doesn't work, you don't have regrets. Like
So-
I remember I told my dad and my mom, when I told them I'm going to do stand up full time, I think I was 22 or 3 when I was like leaving the family business that I helped build.
Wow.
Which was an insurance, and it was very lucrative, and we were making great money. And I started doing shows at stand up at the time, and I remember I was making relatively a fortune in insurance at the time compared to like my age. And then I went and I did a show, and I got paid basically $13, which was 20,000 Lebanese pounds. And but I put it in my pocket, and it felt like I just got paid $1 million.
Oh my God, the first paycheck, nothing's like
And
that.
I knew then and there, I'm like, I don't get this feeling from insurance. Like I don't get this. Like I make good money in insurance,
Yeah.
but I don't feel this isn't it. And I told my dad and my mom, and I sat them down. I'm like, I'm gonna go for stand up. And my dad goes, why? He's like, just do insurance and stand up. And I'm like, you raised me. You said a man can't have 2 gods.
There you go.
You can only have one God. And he goes, yes, but I thought you wouldn't choose the stupid one. That was his reply.
that backfired on us.
Yeah, no, like I thought you choose insurance. That's the money. And then I did stand up for like 2-3 years. I was eating like tuna and like no money and broke.
Good for you.
But I was thrilled because the whole time I wasn't like, I want to be a stand up comic to be famous. It wasn't, I want to be a stand up comic to get women. It was, I want to be a stand up comic to change the world. That was like the ambition.
Yeah.
So it was like everything. I was like, this is going to be a great chapter in the movie of my life when I grow up.
Amen. We need that movie coming up soon.
I mean, yeah.
So that's what you mean for go for broke. It's like if you're gonna go gamble, like be willing to lose it all.
Lose it all and bet on yourself.
Bet on yourself.
Like if you're investing everything in yourself and you lose, you gain. Because even if your dream fails, you would have learned so many lessons along the way. And whatever you end up doing later on, it's going to help you succeed, no matter what it is. But if you're so just literally bet everything on yourself, and if it fails, well, you're gonna be 25, 26, you'll be fine. Like you can recover. It's not
now we can't do that no more.
No, if you have a wife and kids, that's not when you're gonna start
going for broke.
And then if it doesn't work out, you start blaming them, and then you become like an abusive father or mother or vice versa. So yeah, that's just how I feel about it.
So your first stand-up was in AOB. Where did the idea come from? How did you sitting down? I mean, there were no Lebanese comedians at the time, and I think you pioneered the whole art form in that region. And you are the one I know as the first stand-up comedian who sold out venues. Was like going big. But where did the idea come from to start and do it for the first time?
I mean, I grew up in San Diego, and we fled to San Diego from Lebanon when I was like a year old, a year and a half. So I didn't know anything but San Diego. My parents didn't leave Lebanon out of choice. Mm-hmm. It was war. They were miserable. Like in America, they were just not happy. Their families were back home. There's always war going on. So all I remember growing up, I don't have happy memories. The house was depressing. Okay. It was sad. There was anxiety. They were
in San Diego.
In San Diego, because we didn't go with like money. We went with nothing and like built up. And my dad, was working nonstop and trying to get his license in real estate, and he had to study. And he was like that Lebanese guy who would do anything for his family.
Yeah.
And he just sacrificed, and my mom sacrificed everything to give us a better future. But they weren't like full of joy. But my earliest memory, I think I was 4 years old or 5. We're not sure what year exactly, where I was like, I heard my parents laughing uncontrollably. And I went into their room, and I swear it's crazy. I don't have conscious memories before this.
Okay.
Like as a kid, you don't really remember. You have hazy.
No. Yeah.
But I have I see it. I go into their room. They're lying on the bed. They're watching TV. There's a TV in the bedroom. And my dad almost falls off the bed, like crying. My mom's wiping tears, and they're watching stand up.
Stop.
Yeah. And it was the first time I ever saw them laughing. Like not laughing like, haha, I told you a joke, like guttural laughter. Yeah, uncontrolled.
Belly laugh.
And just joy.
Yeah,
joy. Knee slapping, just joy. And it was me and my sister, and we jumped into bed with them. And for like an hour, we were watching this comedy special and just laughing. Obviously, I didn't understand a thing that was going on, but my parents were laughing, and we were laughing. And I remember I was like, I want to do this. Like, I want not to do this. I want this to be in my life. That's all I knew.
And that was at 6 years old.
That was like at like 5 or 4.
Okay.
And I kept telling people, and then I was like, what is this? And they're like, it's stand-up comedy. And my mom and my dad started recording on VHS every HBO special, every like a bunch of comedians working together. They do a night, they'd record them, and we would all watch them together. It became like the family hobby. And everybody, what do you want to be when you grow up? Stand-up comedian. What do you want to be when you grow up? Stand-up comedian.
Even before.
It was like,
Stop.
I was memorizing bits. The first bit I memorized
way.
was for Dana Carvey, where he does a bit about George Bush, the father, the senior, when he went to Japan and threw up all over the president, which was a real thing that happened.
Over the
80s
president of
Japan.
Okay.
A president, prime minister of Japan. And he had this whole thing where it's like today, you know, I still remember, like, he goes in and he's doing like an impression, because Dana Carvey does impressions of George Bush, and he's like, perfect impersonation of, he's like, you know, I'm feeling a little queasy, you know, just like, and I memorized the entire thing. I used to recite it to anyone. I was obsessed. And then when I was about 10 years old, we came back to Beirut, and I got disconnected from the stand-up world.
Okay.
But I had those VHS tapes of Carlin, unfortunately now Cosby, Richard Pryor, you know, Eddie Murphy, like all these VHSs. And my mom had a collection, because she grew up in London, of cassette tapes of stand-up, of Steve Martin, Woody Allen, who I never knew even did stand-up.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who I was listening to. I just had these tapes of people doing stand-up, and that was my library. For the next like 10 years, I just kept regurgitating that. And that's why I'm more of an old school storytelling comic. That's where I get my style from. And I just kept telling people I want to be a stand-up comic. At the age of 12, I read a book called Cain and Abel for an author called Jeffrey Archer.
Okay.
And it had a profound impact on my life. And then I told people I want to be a stand-up comic and a businessman. That was how it went, hand in hand. And then I went to AUB and I studied finance, and I wanted to do stand-up. And the fact that there was no stand-up in the Middle East wasn't the problem. I was like, okay, so I guess I have to do it. So I studied business to be able to build the stage.
Yeah.
And then I practiced stand-up to be able to hone my craft. And the stage that I built was where I was able to hone my craft. I have to do it all. And I built it up, and show by show, it just grew and grew and grew into this behemoth.
But it's very courageous, man. I mean, to go into the Middle East and then not knowing if you can say what you can say, will people take it lightly?
I figured if I do it,
someone come punch you in the face.
Because I was doing it but I was like, if I do it in English, you know, the extremist people aren't educated.
Okay.
Right? I knew that. I knew from a very young age. I've met extreme people, right, who are like extremely religious and blind.
That's very smart that you used English.
I mean, I didn't choose to. I had no choice. My Arabic isn't. When I tried stand up in Arabic, it is atrocious.
You've actually tried it.
It's so bad. I tried it twice. I deleted the footage. It'll never see the light of day. It was this. I was so unfunny, like so unfunny.
I mean, it's hard.
It's hard, and I'm thinking in English. Like last night, we had he was a guest on your show as well.
Yes, John Usher. I love him. By the way, he says you're his big inspiration.
I mean, I'm flattered. I mean, the guy's incredible,
phenomenal.
And he thinks and speaks and is naturally in Arabic. So he's natural. I don't naturally think in Arabic. I'm speaking English because it's my first language. So I'm up there translating. It was a disaster. So for me, it was just like, well, I do it in English. And I know that if you're an extremist and you have a closed mindset, you're not educated. And if you're not educated, you probably don't know English. So I'll be fine. That was kind of like my way of doing it. But I did ruffle quite a few feathers on the way up.
Yeah, you definitely have to have an education to speak English in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
So
work
I didn't
the
have
other
to
way
worry
around,
about the extremists. I had to worry about the educated criminals.
Yeah, but you're very much like me. Like, I mean, I'm more Americanized. I mean, my Arabic is not very good, but I mean, I can use it.
Yeah.
إذا بدك نحكي عربي خيي شو بدك
أكيد،
نحكي إذا بدك. But no, but my English is definitely way better. But you and I have a lot of similarities, by the way. So some people tell me that I look like you, and some people tell me
that is a great compliment to me.
To me too. What are
No,
you
because
kidding?
everybody tells me I look like Tyson Fury. That's all I get every time. People are like, "Bro, this is my Tyson Fury," and I look, and I didn't know who Tyson Fury when people said it. I was like, "Oh, well, let's check out this definitely incredibly handsome young man," and he's like. He's a world champion boxer, which is amazing. But he's famous for being incredibly out of shape and a world champion. Like he has no physical fitness traits whatsoever. He's like kind of hunched. He's got a big belly, receding hairline. And I was like, God damn, like this is So if they're saying that you look like now, I'm feeling a bit better about myself.
No, but like from my perspective, take it as a compliment. You're a handsome dude.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. That means a lot coming from you. Thank you. Right back at you.
A lot of similarities, not only the height, not only the Lebanese American, not only the fact that we both lost a lot of weight. I mean, I lost probably more than 100 pounds. We can compete on who lost more weight.
I lost exactly 56 kilos.
I think mine is around that. I was morbidly obese my entire childhood.
Same.
Yeah, I was sedentary. I would just do nothing. I mean, my two brothers would just be always like playing basketball, tennis, or like, and I would just like tell them no, I can't.
I just used to eat a lot. I would be active, but eat even more. Like if I started playing basketball, I was like, okay, I need to adjust my food here to stay fat. So I would eat more. That was kind of it. So I was fat for a lot of my life, and I remember I got a book in university. I watched an anime called Berserk.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and I highly recommend everybody watch the anime from the 90s in Japanese, English subtitles. And then when it blows your mind, it's only 24 or 25 episodes. Go and read the manga because it's unbelievable. But that thing motivated me so much that after I finished the anime, I changed my life. I took nutrition courses in AUB.
Wow.
I got books and I studied. And I was like, wait, you can eat meat and fish and lose weight? And I go to my parents. I'm like, every time I want to lose weight, we start eating bread and rice, and it turns out that shit makes you fat. Like they didn't know, carbohydrates and all. I was like, it's actually easy to lose weight if you know what you're doing. And then I think the critical thing is not to put a time on it. Like I'm fat, I want to be thin tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not.
And it's
work.
never too late. That's another thing that I
It's
learned.
never too late. Just start and say in a year or two, I want to look in a certain way, and you'll get there.
And if you fall off the bandwagon, it's never too late to start again, ever. Like 100%. You can start at 60, at 70, it doesn't matter.
100%.
The biggest shock about nutrition that I got is when I found out how many calories are in a tablespoon of olive oil. Us Lebanese people, bro.
We don't put a tablespoon. We put a bottle.
A fucking bottle. Like, I mean, I was just shocked when I found out that's a tablespoon. I was like, I could have Nutella instead of this tablespoon of olive oil right now.
Yeah.
What's going on?
No, I'm with you. Nutella. Goddamn.
I know, right?
2 a.m,
bro.
Spoon of Nutella.
Bro, that's crack for me. That's legit. Like, I mean, I can't. That's my drug of choice. Nutella.
Life. That's life right there.
I know. And you and I can relate on that.
And
together.
and there were all these stories where they're like, oh, Nutella uses some kind of oil that gives you cancer. I was like, I'll take cancer.
Yeah, I mean, like, that, please.
I got that. I'm down with it. I don't know if it's still true, but I don't care. Like that's one of the things because we're gonna get cancer from everything that we're eating and like the microplastics and all. But if I get it having Nutella, at least I had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, and also on the show you talk about. So another thing that I relate with you about that I think we're similar is that we both have ADHD. Let's be real.
Oh yeah, that's
and
true.
Oh my god, bro,
this episode's gonna be a disaster.
I know.
I love ADHD.
I think I use it as a superpower. And
it is a superpower. It's a 100% superpower. I feel like neurodivergency today, and I'm glad that like autism and stuff in the Middle East are starting to become a bit destigmatized. I feel like if my kid comes, I'm going to be very disappointed. If like, I hope I don't have a kid who watches this in the future, but is if my kid is like a straight A, just good kid, I will be devastated. See, I want him to get into or her to get into trouble, more her than him. I want her to get into trouble. I want her to deal with difficult, like with challenges, like ADHD. Overcoming and mastering that is incredible. Having the hyper focus from ADHD, especially if you have the H, the hyperactivity,
of course,
with the hyper focus, being able to master that and the discipline behind that, it's a constant daily challenge. But whether it's with medication or without, like learning the habits that you need to have makes you a better human being. So I always feel like it is a superpower. I know it's a superpower.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, I use it to my advantage. But now I want to, here on this podcast, I want to squash something with you, Mr. Nimmer.
Yes, sir.
And we got to get to the bottom of this right here, now.
Yes, sir. Yes, I am taller than you.
You are taller. And you're actually as loud as I am. You're not a loud guy.
I'm telling you, people are lowering the volume.
Yeah, people are like, bro, too much ADHD, too much volume. What's going on? No, but you say that you married your wife twice, and when you said that to me,
so
I thought that you had married her, got divorced, and then got remarried to the same lady. I was like, this podcast is gonna be so good,
I'm sorry.
bro.
We can pretend.
Like I was like,
I
oh
can
my
make
God,
up
the
a story.
juice.
I'm like, I realized that she was too beautiful. I couldn't deal with it, so
But you know that every Lebanese person gets married twice.
They do the civil and the
all my entire family.
The reason I say I got
twice.
married twice is because I thought it was going to be the once. When we got married in LA, I was like, this is COVID is such a blessing. Like we're done. You know, I get to save so much money. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about like I don't want to spend money. It was kind of like because marriage in its essence is slightly absurd, like a marriage ceremony.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like a comedian who does production of events. So I'm like, oh, it's just that you're producing an event. I'm like, we should sell tickets. Like my wife at every turn was like, you can't sell tickets. I'm like, I'll do stand-up. It was like always this like comedic thing. But I was like, all right, we did COVID hit. And I think everybody was reeling from COVID. Like COVID didn't not touch anyone financially, right? But
emotionally, financially,
every way. But as a comedian and Lebanese, right? As a comedian, my career ended for like 3 years. What am I going to put a bunch of people in a room? Forget about it. On top of that, as a Lebanese person, the banking crisis, the revolution, like everything just sucked the soul out of us.
Yeah.
So when I got married to my wife, I remember in Los Angeles, it was just me, her, a few of our friends, my sister, in a small chapel. Like, you parked the car,
cute.
went down, did it. And then as soon as we were married, we went to In-N-Out. And we had a burger and fries and a milkshake. And it was the happiest fucking day of my life.
You make me cry.
No, I'm serious. It was incredible.
For that, man.
It was incredible. And just me and her just sitting in an In-N-Out. Like, she's got a wedding dress on. I'm wearing my tux. And we're eating like a burger and fries. I'm like, this is it. Like, this is the most romantic thing in the world, because I'm feeling in connection with this human being that is beyond anything. And we didn't need anything to feel it. We didn't need cars. We didn't need money. We didn't need fireworks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
wow.
There's like, people don't know that we just had this wedding. There's just people eating, drinking a Diet Coke across the table from me. And there was something so magical about that. So for me, that was it. That was, I am married to this woman. But then we had to do the Lebanese wedding. The parents were like, very good, very nice, in and out. Okay, now.
Now the fireworks, okay, great.
Yeah, so we did a wedding in Lebanon, but it was a very intimate wedding. And my wife, like, God bless her, she's a fashion designer. So I was like, you freaking plant whatever you think we need to do. What am I going to tell? I'm a clown. I'm not going to. And she made, I think, the most beautiful wedding. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but it was like the most incredible experience. And it was beautiful because I got to marry her twice. And I always used to tell people, like, my wife's a 10 because there's for video games, they say like 10 out of 10 would play again. Yeah. Right? And I said she's a 10 out of 10 would marry again, so I married her again.
Oh, dude, you're gonna make me cry. This is not
so
Oprah,
I'm sorry,
bro.
But if you want, I can pretend that we had a huge fight.
The divorce, and I was like, what happened? Like, how do you?
She wanted to work. I said, you stay home. No.
But you got a good one, Vanessa. I mean, I have never met her, but I mean, the fact that a lady left a lead designer at Elisa, one of the biggest Lebanese designers, and moved, like, left her job and moved for you to Los Angeles, and I mean. First of all, tell us how you met this wonderful person. How did that start? And this is the Wingman podcast, so we want to know exactly the first interaction.
I have a great...
Tell us that story.
This is a great story. So me and her ran into each other multiple times throughout the past maybe 12, 15 years. We met on an airplane. We met in a bus on the tarmac of a thing. She came to my shows. I was walking out of a bathroom and she was there. Like, there were multiple times where we'd run into each other. Nothing happened, but we were always like running into each other. We had friends, mutuals.
Yeah.
And before Vanessa, long before Vanessa, I'm dating other people and she was dating other people. And I had a relationship that didn't work out. And I was engaged. And people know this long before Vanessa.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
I think I remember this. Yeah.
It didn't work out. And I used to talk about being engaged in my shows at the time. Like, I'm engaged, I'm going to get married, because I talk about my life. So it was known that I was engaged. When that engagement fell apart, I moved on with my life. I got on Tinder. I started dating again. And I'm in Los Angeles on a date with an American woman, not Lebanese, not just like a white girl. And I'm sitting, and it was our first date. And she had Googled me and she saw that I was a comedian and everything. And, as a woman should, to find out she's, with a serial killer. So she did her due diligence. And, she was kind of skeptical, like, are you a player? Are you, no, just from the thing. Yeah. And I'm presenting myself. I am not. I'm very proudly not a player. Like, I don't believe in that. I feel like you should find somebody and work on being good enough to.
We'll get to that wingman part. We'll get.
So to it. I'm sitting there and we're having this dinner, and this Lebanese woman who's maybe 50 something years old walks up to the table, and look, I see her, and I'm like, oh, it must be someone. Like, I see her demeanor and the amount of makeup and stuff, and I'm like, this is my people. Like,
okay.
This is a Lebanese woman.
this is my people.
It's a madame. It's a tante. It's a tante, And she comes up to me, and I thought she wanted to say hello, and she looks right at the girl, and she goes, do you know he is engaged? On the loudest, like just in the middle of the restaurant. And I'm like, whoa, what? And like, it just, you could like everything goes quiet. Everyone turns around. This girl, like, I feel so bad. She looks at me like, oh my God, like, this guy's, a cheater. And I'm like, whoa, no. I'm like, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? And she's like, where is your fiance? I'm like, what are you doing? And I said, no, we broke up. And she's like, why didn't you say anything? And I'm like, why would I
have to report to you, ma'am?
Why do I have to say anything? And I never realized that I had a level of fame that was, if you share your story, and I was like, actually makes sense. Like, I've been sharing that I'm engaged. So I guess I'm supposed to put out a statement.
Right. I mean, I feel you, man. I got engaged on TV. So now no longer, but like, a lot of people don't know that.
They don't know that. Well, now they do.
Now they do.
You may have to put out a statement because that woman's out there, man. I don't know where she is. She might find you one day on a date and end it for you. So I go the next day on Instagram and on Facebook, and I wrote, I'm single. I typed it out and took a screenshot. and just posted it. And then underneath it, I was like, hey guys, so like if you see me on a date, please like
be kind to me.
like yeah, no, like because like and at the same time I was like, I know I talked about it in my tour. It didn't work out for no reason. It just didn't work out. This is a relationship. This happened. Thank you very much. I had a very close friend of mine lives in San Francisco. Shout out to him. His name is Akram.
Yo, Akram, how you doing, brother?
Legend. And he calls me up immediately. He's like, you broke up with that girl? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh fuck, I fucking hated her. Thank God. Like he's like, I want you to go. There's this girl I want you to meet. And I've been trying to get you guys together for like 5 years. Every time you go to Atlanta when she lived there, in Miami when she lived there, I was trying to get you guys to meet. And I've been working on this. I'm like, seriously? Who is she? He goes, Vanessa. He gives me her number.
Okay.
We start talking on WhatsApp for like 3 months, 2-3 months.
Before even meeting?
Before even meeting.
Did you like her picture?
Dude,
what?
She's hot as fuck. So
Okay,
like,
all right,
yeah.
okay, good. So you liked her picture.
But she wasn't your typical girl that took full body pictures. Like she had a bathing suit, but it was from the front. You know, she's like in a natural pose. She's not out there like with her ass to the camera. So I couldn't tell, but I have phenomenal, man radar.
Skills, okay.
So I was like analyzing and everything. And I was like, look, she looks gorgeous, but more importantly, like when we were talking and stuff, like I really enjoyed our conversations. And I was like, this is great. So when I went to Lebanon, I was like, when I come to Lebanon, can I take you out? She's like, yeah, sure. So like 2-3 months later, I was in Lebanon, went out with her on a date. And I was like, immediately, I was like, oh shit. Like,
oh shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is like, this woman's like on a whole other level. And I'm lucky that I met her when I was mature enough to understand how incredible this woman was. Because I feel like if I met Vanessa in my 20s, I didn't have the emotional maturity as a man to actually comprehend what I was sitting in front of.
Ooh,
so yeah, it was she was like on a whole other level, and we connected. And I started. So I had a bunch of shows in Lebanon. I did the shows, and then I was like, oh, we sold out a lot. Let's add 2 more shows. And I started adding shows in like 2 weeks afterwards, so I had excuses to come back.
Oh, yeah. That's so cute.
And we kept seeing each other, and then we did like 6 months of bliss, and then COVID, the revolution, the explosion. That was our life.
But you survived COVID.
We survived all of it together, and a lot of it was long distance. And she was like ride or die the entire time.
I'm going to ask you about that. I mean, especially now, like, how do you maintain a good relationship and it's long distance, and especially where's she right now? So how do you
she's in LA.
that?
We live together in LA. We're happily married, right? So you say like, why are you only in Dubai? Because I got my wife. I come here for a day because I want to go back to my house. You know what I'm saying? Like I love Dubai. I love these places, but my wife's there. She has work.
You tour a lot though. What do you?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
She comes with me whenever she can.
So she's not here today.
She's not here today. No, she had work. So she's in Los Angeles working in design. But like you said, she worked with Elisab. She was the lead designer for his ready-to-wear collection. It's a huge milestone. It's like the best thing you could achieve as a fashion designer. And then when I asked her to marry me, I didn't take it for granted that she'd come out to the U.S. But we both had the same goal that we want to have a family. So,
Vanessa, I hope you're listening to all this, girl.
Girl,
this is all for you, girl.
She knows. And she sacrificed a lot to come to live with me in America so that we could start that family, because she knew like my career was very well established. And if she's in Lebanon, and then the situation in Lebanon is dangerous.
Of course.
And there's footage of her that I have. It's actually online. During the explosion, she was in the office of Elisab. Everything blew up. Like she could have, died. She was like she drove right by there. So for me, it was just like, it's different when you have a loved one that you're married to and you want to start a family with.
Yeah.
That moment, it wasn't traumatic for me like the people who were in the explosion in Lebanon, obviously. But being in America, seeing that there was an explosion, not being able to get in contact with the woman you're going to marry.
Oh my God.
Not knowing if your family's alive.
Yeah.
And knowing that if something happened, it's going to be 48 hours until you can be there. No matter how much you run to the airport, you're going to have to get a flight, find a seat. It's just like I was pushing a lot for her to come over to the U.S. as a result of those factors. And she was like, if we're getting married and that's what you want, I will stand by you, and I support her till the end, like whatever you need. So we were like out competing who would support who, but I think it was the system, the danger and instability of Lebanon, which was the deciding factor for her to come to the U.S. as opposed for me to move back to Lebanon.
I mean, let's one up each other and whose trauma is stronger. I've got bigger trauma than you.
I'm pretty sure you do, honestly, because I think you've dealt with a lot.
Nimmer, so you would raise your kids in the U.S.?
Yeah. I want to raise them in the U.S., but I want to make sure that they also have the elements that I love about being raised in Lebanon. Yeah. I just feel like raising kids in the Middle East, if you have the option to raise them outside, is not good. And I'll tell you why before anybody takes my words and runs with them.
Okay.
I think it's our duty to give our kids the most potential possible. And it's hard to exercise potential when you don't have stability. If I can give my kids stability in the geography that they're located, but instability by being a psychopathic Lebanese guy, then I give them the two best worlds. Because if my kid grows up and he wants to be, or she wants to be, an actor, a fashion designer, a comedian, a doctor, an engineer, whatever, if they're in the US or they're abroad, all they have to say is, I want to be this. How do I do that? And then they begin to execute that path.
There's stability for
There's
you to be able to do
stability
that.
for them. And as Lebanese people, we owe it to ourselves that if we have the privilege to live outside of the country, to do that to the maximum of our ability, so that when the day comes that stability starts to return to our country, we are in there with financial stability we're bringing from abroad to bring that country back and leave it stable. And during the revolution in Lebanon, we saw everything was working. The only way they could stop it was to take away the money. They had to reintroduce instability to a united, stable movement. So stability is the biggest enemy of everyone who wants to stop us from succeeding. So I believe the best way to help my people is to use the privilege of the fact that I have an American citizenship and I am American, and that my children, to raise them in an environment where they can maximize their potential and their financial stability, so we can bring that back home.
Amen
That's
to
why
that.
I believe it.
Yeah. And it gets to get worse to get better. You know, I mean, in that scenario. I mean,
I'm not happy with what's happening in Lebanon. I'm just happy that the veil has come off of the Ponzi scheme that our leaders were on, so that people can realize that putting your fidelity, your loyalty to these people doesn't pay off in the long run. Pays off in the short run. You get a favor here, you get a favor there, but your kids suffer.
I mean, you're speaking some truths here. But I love, Nimmer, when you get into your serious voice, it gets very, your serious voice gets very, I believe.
I have to. So if they edit it out of context, the other stuff doesn't add up. It'll be like,
Nimmer's
and I don't like, and you know that.
But like, it's funny. The reason why I said like one up on the trauma is you said it on your show yesterday. It's like I worry to tell people about my Lebanese trauma because they're gonna be like, I got a better trauma than
That's
you,
how
bro.
they compete.
My trauma is bigger than yours.
That's how they compete.
It's sad. It's a sad truth.
I don't know how much you've shared of your story and your background publicly, but I know for a fact, having known you personally, that I've dealt with a lot. I can't imagine what you've also dealt with.
Of course.
I know your story, and I know where you reached, and you succeeded pretty much higher than anybody. I know for a fact that you went through a lot. So
Thank
that's
you
why I
so
like
much for
sitting with
acknowledging
individuals.
that.
I always like sitting with people who've been through trauma, because the perspectives are so unique. So it's different than just sitting with someone who's famous. Because really, it's not that difficult to be
What
famous.
you're saying? I'm not famous?
No, you
Not
are famous.
famous.
No, I'm saying I like to sit with famous people who also who got there. Like, if you take a
appreciate
look
you
at like
saying that.
American Idol and those shows, right?
Yeah.
There's so many artists that you're like, they are so talented, and you never hear from them again because they haven't gone through traumatic experiences to help shape their perspective so that they can survive this industry.
Yeah.
The fact that you've survived this industry is proof you've been through some shit.
No, but also I can see that in your art. I mean, we all know clowns. I mean, all come from like a place of either struggle or trauma or depression or whatever it is. And the true art comes from like, how's a diamond made? You know, with a lot of like pressure. We all know that saying.
Sir.
So you're a diamond right
Where is
now.
it?
Oh, ring the bell.
Bell of truth.
Bell of truth.
Bell of truth.
Type, okay, what we like to do here on the Wingman podcast is that we like to put scenarios. It's like an acting improv thing.
Let's do it.
And we know you're a good actor. We know you know how to act.
I'm a terrible actor.
Really?
I'm the worst actor.
I'm
such a bad
You've done
actor.
films, haven't you?
No, I've auditioned.
Okay.
Never been accepted for a single audition. I watch the auditions. I'm like, if they cast me, biggest mistake they ever made.
Really?
I can tell my stories, and people are like, he's such a good actor because I'm just reenacting what happened to me.
But I would think you'd admit you're.
But when somebody
actor.
gives me a script, I can't enter like channel. I start to laugh at myself. I'm like, what am I fucking doing? I don't have the skill set for this. I'll go to an audition and I'll be surrounded by like actors in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And they're like doing vocal exercises and they're stressing, they're reading the script, and I don't even have the script. I'm like, oh fuck. Like I start like looking at papers to act. Like I'm
You
like,
know,
I don't
vocal exercises. Me and
I don't
Habibi
belong
vocal
here,
exercises.
man.
I
Yeah.
literally did vocal exercises right here before you came. I was like,
I'm not good like that. Like I'm not that, like I appreciate when I see people like that. I'm like, wow, I wish I could learn that art form. I don't have it. But I'll try to act.
But,
I'll do my best.
Okay, so we'll try to. But also, lots going on for you, so we don't need to add amazing actor to the list of amazing things that you have. Your resume's big enough, bro.
Don't set the thing high. It'll be a disaster.
So I told the producers were writing like some scripts and stuff like, what should we talk to Nimmer about? I was like, and they're like, no, we can't say that to Nimmer. I was like, bro, Nimmer is not sensitive, and I know him. He's my buddy. No. That's what's beautiful about him. He has no sensitivity. He doesn't take himself seriously, and that's what I love about this dude.
Imagine I was a comedian who had sensitivity.
Bro, how
and I'm out there making fun of like people and things like that, but I'm like, you can't. My fragile ego. You got to take it to be able to dish it. So Yeah,
100%. How much do people who take themselves so seriously annoy you?
Beyond. There are two things I hate in this world: people who take themselves seriously and excuses. Those are my two, like the pillars of hatred that I have. Are those two things? I love French.
Bro,
I've done so many jokes about Lebanese Frenchies. It's clearly I love these people. You know, I love them so much that I celebrate them by eviscerating their entire personality. But that's just a celebration.
But this is not the first time it comes up. A lot of Frenchies are like, "Why do you hate us, bro?"
And I say no. Did you ever see that joke where a guy was like, "Why do you hate French guys?"
Yes.
Yeah.
You saw that one? I'm like, I don't hate French guys. I'm like, do you know how hard it is as a man to be a woman? Like that was like, I like always making fun of them. I love it. But they're
feminine.
It's not that they're feminine. These are like the easy joke. It's French people are the definition of taking yourself seriously.
Yeah.
French educated Lebanese people, I feel like they need to be made fun of the most. And I'll use whatever their like the effeminate traits or whatever it is to poke fun at them because they need to be humbled. I've never met people who take themselves as seriously as Lebanese French educated people. When they sit in a room together and they start smoking really thin cigarettes and they start talking about politics and
really
shit.
Thin cigarettes?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. They have a vibe. Like they wear shoes with no socks. Like everything about them is like so. If you put 3 men and 3 women and the men are wearing like you got one guy with shoes, no socks, thin cigarettes, and they start talking, they get so serious and they like solve the world. They're just like this. And I'm like sitting there. I'm like, what the fuck is going like?
Crack a smile, bro. Chill.
They don't smile. They take they're the top. They're the smartest. They're always at the top of their class. They're always
fix it. Yellow.
Always overachieving, but they don't know how to apply because they take themselves seriously. I remember I had a venture capital class in AUB and I had this French educated kid with us, brilliant kid, number 1 kid. Name was George something. And George couldn't understand how you could value a company. He kept asking the teacher, what's the formula? And the teacher was like, there is no formula. The value of a company is an argument you make. You say, this is a fast food company. It should be worth this much because its competitors are worth this much. It has this much growth potential.
True, you can decide
so I feel like it's worth this much. So when we did an exam, I gave a value for a company. And on the test, he gave a totally different value. And we both got the answer correct. And he couldn't understand how he kept telling the teacher, but what's the correct answer? And French educated people are very fucking
square
because their entire educational system teaches them an insane amount of knowledge, but with no ability on how to use it. It's all like you have so much knowledge, but they don't focus on anything you can do with the knowledge. It's like you got to learn about all the wars, all the history, all the geography, all the math, all the science, all of this, but with no practical application. So they have formulas and rigidity and structure, and you don't get to choose your courses if you're in USG. This is what you're doing. You're from 8 in the morning till the evening, and they don't see the sunlight, and they're exhausted. The American system is the other extreme, where it's all like, choose what you want. And there's counselors, and they'll tell you what to do and how to do it. And you end up with the flip side. I think a good in-between would be to get more French education paired with, from the American side, so halfway there, paired with more American direction.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because all I see is like American people employing French-educated Lebanese. Because American people are very good at, American educated people are very good at identifying self-weakness, and we have a lot of it.
So and we pride in it.
We pride in it. We're like, oh, I don't know how to fucking do that. Just hire someone. You'll hear American people say that.
The biggest culture shock for me in America was for me to sell myself and talk myself in a high regard. It was actually hard for me to do. I had to change it so I can get 100%. A job.
Yeah,
you know, to be like, no, but I'm amazing at Excel, and my organization skills, bro. No one in the world could be as organized as I am.
You have to. But if you're like, I remember I had a friend of mine who was studying pharmacy, French educated. And I asked him, I said, how much money are you going to make? How many years? It's like 7 years in LAU. How much money are you going to make? He's like, we start out at $700 a month. You go up to $1,200 a month. I'm like, how much are you paying for your tuition? And it was like $12,000 a year at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but business is 4 years if you're a freshman, 3 if you're not, and it's like $10,000 a year at AUB. He's like, yeah, but what am I going to do with business? I'm like, start a pharmacy. He's like, but you can't. You need a pharmacist with you. I'm like, hire a pharmacist. If it's only $700 a month, hire a pharmacist. You're going to be making way more money. And he was like, no, but you have to have pharmacy.
Business tips by Nemr Abou Nassar.
But he couldn't understand that there was another way. It was just like, I want to be in the pharmaceutical industry. Therefore, I have to be a pharmacist. This is the French way. And it was just like, that was his, and it's like, man, just study, save, with the money you save in tuition, literally open a pharmacy, hire a pharmacist. Like it was.
Okay, so enough punching the punching bag.
Apart from that, French people are the
French
future.
people punching bag moment right there. We're going to go back to that little scenario.
It's his fault, by the way,
It's
for
his
asking.
fault. His fault. He egged you on. I know it is. So we're going back to the scenario. Okay, so now we're going to completely act, okay?
Okay.
We're bringing we're going to go back to relationships and the whole like cheating and everything. I told you I was going to get back to that.
Yes, I'm down.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So this is a scenario, it's acting, it's improv, and we want the entire viewers and audiences to be like a fly on the wall in your relationship at home.
Yes.
Okay? And this is the improv. I'm your wife. Okay?
You're my wife. Done.
Okay? And I come up to you and I'm going to give you this. I know the answer to this. I know this will never happen and I know it, but I just want to shock you. And I was like, guys, producers, nothing shocks this dude. Like, look at him. He doesn't get
Shit, I'm excited.
Yeah,
Like, I can't
I'm going
wait
to shock you and see how you react. And you're going to have to react honestly.
Okay.
هاي حبيبي كيفك؟
تمام كيفك انت؟
شو عندك كتير تورز جايين حبيبي ورح
So wait, in this marriage, we're Arabic speaking predominantly, just so I
I
get
don't
my
know.
character
I don't know
background.
why I imagined Vanessa.
I'm just
would
getting
have,
my
like,
character background.
I don't know why. No,
So you're doing Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa.
Oh, okay. So we're character. Oh, okay. All right. So do I call you Vanessa?
Sure.
Bro, she watches this and you're like, what the fuck
Dude,
is
it's gonna
going
be
on?
like, leave it. All right.
English, Arabic. I don't mind. I just need to know my character's backstory. Like that's
Okay, look at you,
I
a
need
great
what
actor.
are my motivations?
Oh, I thought you were a bad actor. Look at you
Listen,
doing
I didn't
character
say
analysis.
I'm a bad actor, but I still understand what I got to do. I just can't do it. But I mean, let's just. I'm acting like I'm a good actor.
All right. Honey, I know that you are having a lot of. I don't know why I'm giving her a Lebanese accent, but can we just go with it? That's the acting.
Raidu speaks perfect English. Honey, you know I don't. Go with it. Go with it.
You're touring a lot.
Yes.
And you're going to be gone for a lot of next year, and we're going to go to Australia, and then you have these tours in Dubai, and then we're going to go to Europe, and now especially you booked a tour in all of Africa. We just heard, I just wanted to know, like, our relationship is so beautiful, and I love you so much. انت شو رأيك يعني is maybe يعني the modern relationship is coming in right now and people are really it's becoming popular حياتي. What do you think of us maybe just exploring a little small open style relationship? Good. What do you think about that, honey?
To be honest, my love, like I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's great. If you want, we could start exploring. I'm gonna go explore with a divorce lawyer. And you can go explore. You can go explore with going back to Elisab, because you're not staying here. Let me tell you that would be a red line for me.
A completely red line.
100%.
Complete red line.
Zero.
But that there's like a huge fad and a huge like
I
popular.
think it's complete bullshit.
You think it's complete bullshit?
Well,
but it works for a lot of people.
It works for a lot of people who aren't interested in building a family.
You think so? Okay.
I think so. Obviously, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
But for me, and it goes both ways. I'm not saying she can't, but I can.
Of course.
Absolutely not. I just feel like if you're going to get kids into this world, you're bringing them to provide. It's not about you, right? My goal is to start a family with this woman. So when we get these kids, our lives I consider to be over in terms of prioritization. What they need, they need stability. That's like the same reason why I wouldn't raise them in Lebanon, for the stability. So if I'm going to be cheating on my wife, and she's going to be cheating on me, and we're having an open relationship, then I'm going to slap somebody in the Oscars. Will Smith. It's what happened. I mean, that's what happened. You could tell that's an unstable individual. I'm not blaming his wife. He also is in an open relationship. They're both open relationship.
Correct.
And I'm not saying that's the reason, but bringing your husband on a podcast to talk about how you banged his son's best friend is not the best way to celebrate the openness of a relationship, because you need to have stability in your life. Yeah. I got married to Vanessa because I was wildly in love with her, and she was the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. But she also made me feel calm. Like when I'm with her, I felt grounded and attached to something.
Hello.
Right?
Hello.
And she, I believe, feels the same way. And she's told me so. Yeah. So, and I feel that from her. So I was like, I want to spend the rest of my life with this woman because I can grow with this woman. And how am I going to grow with her if I'm growing with somebody else, even if it's temporarily? I don't see, like, you got to give 100% That's just that.
No, I mean, I love your perspective. I know a lot of people
I
will
don't
disagree
shame.
with you.
I don't shame people who do open relationships.
course.
It's just not what I want,
Correct.
and not what Vanessa wants.
Yeah,
but if you're
of course.
two people who are in for that,
Consensually agreeing to
yeah,
that.
I mean, first of all, why get married? In my opinion, unless
Okay.
you're doing it for legal purposes, like to split assets, buy property together. Some people I understand aren't interested in being in committed relationships sexually, but want to be with each other so that when they're on their deathbeds, they can be next to each other, put each other in. Okay, get married. I mean, marriage isn't. The antiquated view of marriage is that it is a religious thing, but the current day view of marriage is it's a legal binding agreement between
Correct,
two parties who are vowing to stay with each other until they break the agreement, which is a reinterpretation of until death do us part, right? But instead of until death do us part, now it's until divorce.
Until divorce.
Or death do us part.
Or death.
When I took the vow until death do us part, I meant until death do us part.
love
In
that.
sickness and in health. That's what I'm looking for. That isn't compatible with an open relationship.
Wow. So it is not permissible in any way. There's no leeway, nothing. But to you, what is considered cheating? Like, what is the gray line?
Both Vanessa and I have the same standard. Cheating is literally, it goes from emotional cheat. Like, it's not physical only. Physical is like, you're way too far.
Okay.
Physical is
So
insane.
that's a black line.
That's
But-
that's like the line is now a dot.
That's
You're so far, the line is the dot.
You can't even see the line.
Yeah. Physical cheating is insane. Really, it's just like the fact that, fantasizing about being with somebody else means there's a problem I don't feel, ever since I've been with my wife, I've never looked at someone and been like, oh God, like when you're single, you've been, I don't know if you're in a relationship now or not.
Single.
You're single. When you're single, you see people, you see them as like perspective, I could be with that person. I could hook up with this person. I could do this with that person. You don't see that anymore. It's weird how your like DNA kind of changes.
Interesting.
Wasn't the fact with my ex who I was engaged to, wasn't the fact with other girlfriends. I always was like, I'm loyal to this person, but the desire to be with other people in a weird way, once I got married at least, it just died.
So that's your opinion. That's a red flag in a relationship if someone starts like fantasizing about other people. Once
If you're
that
fantasizing
stops-
about other people, first of all, I consider that you're starting to cheat, and you need to address it with your partner immediately. Why the fuck that's happening? I don't see that ever happening with me, but you never. I mean, I'm not audacious enough to be like I'm going to master the relationship, but I just don't see it happening because we're so aligned. I got married old. I'm 40. I got married.
I didn't know
Habibi,
that about you. I thought
I'm
you're my
40.
age.
No,
I'm
you look
22.
way younger than me, man.
No, I'm teasing.
I'm 40. I got married when I was 38. I was with Vanessa for 2 years before that. And I could have, if I wanted to stay single, I wouldn't have gotten married.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, cheating, and I've been cheated on so many times,
Oh shit.
like
I'm
4
sorry.
times in my life. It's totally okay. The first time was devastating because I thought, is it me? Like, what did I do? Why did she? No, I wasn't like that. It was like, why did she cheat on me? Like, why is he better than me? And then the second and the third time I started to realize if somebody cheats on you, it's not because you're worthless. It's because they're worth less than what you gave them as a value.
Please ring the bell. Please.
So I was like, I always saw it as like, if I'm in love with someone, I'm in love with them because they're ride or die. They're loyal to me and I'm loyal to them. And then I found out they weren't loyal to me. It's a quick, immediately I'm like, oh, I wasn't in love with that person. I was in love with someone who didn't exist. They were cosplaying as that person.
Cosplay.
So when I break up with them, I'm actually mourning the death of the fictitious character that I thought I was with. And it becomes a lot easier. My biggest advice to anyone who goes through a breakup is don't keep pictures and whatever. That's fucking bullshit. As soon as you break up, you get a trash bag. This is my exercise.
Oh my gosh.
You get a
Same
big,
as we just talked about that earlier.
really
Keep going.
big blast trash bag. You walk into your house and every single item that you have with this person, every single item, pictures,
So
a piggy
sad.
bank,
Oh my gosh.
whatever
It's
it
like
is,
a death.
you take it all, you throw it in the trash. It's a physical kind of ritual as far as I'm concerned. You close that trash bag, you walk out and you throw it in the furthest bin. And then
You're so absolute and unforgiving, bro.
Unforgiving.
You know, a lot of people would disagree with you, especially in America.
That's fair enough. They can disagree with me.
Yeah.
And I respect them. I'm sure people have their own approaches. My advice, if you want to take it the way I do it, because once you do that, it's not the throwing away of the stuff that's powerful. It's the walking back into the house. You walk back into the house and it's free of, it's an empty canvas again. So you walk out heartbroken, you walk back in opportunity.
And you did that.
I do that I've done that multiple times.
I do that every Friday. Every Friday.
Oh, no. If anything, Vanessa will do that to me. But no, I don't do that. No, but I did that because I'm like, how can I make room for somebody new in my life if it's cluttered with somebody old? So I'm just like clearing the table to start from the drawing board again and learn the lessons that I learned. Where did I make mistakes? How can I improve on myself? How can I choose better and improve? And with every relationship, I got better. And then until I became good enough to be able to get a woman like my wife today.
I just want to, one more thing about the cheating thing is about the difference between, this region and America, but not necessarily.
Yes.
I see it more often here. Of course, there's all types of people in all
cheating
types of
happens
countries.
here way more than in the U.S.
Yeah, but I feel
Way
like
more.
there's two groups of people. People believe that it's equal for men and women. And some people believe, which I see a lot of, I've been running into these scenarios here more, is that it's more permissible and acceptable for a man to cheat. And you know how like when we're sitting down with the family, it's always like kind of also okay and more for like a man to like comment about a beautiful woman and like make jokes and sexual, and it's not the same way for women. So do you think like there is a like it's not equal, like, and especially in our region?
Do I think what you're saying is true, or do I agree with it?
Do you think,
I think what you're saying
true?
is 100 in a male-dominated society,
Yeah.
patriarchal society, which the Middle East very much is. Of course, it's true. It is the biggest piece of shit bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
I agree with that.
I the audacity where it's like permissible for a man, and the cringe that I feel when guys are like, oh, you're the wife, haha. Like, bro, that's the person who's like, you're spending the rest of your life with, might be the mother of your children if you guys are lucky enough to have kids together. How the fuck would you disrespect them so much by being with a stranger or in somebody else and trying to make a joke at her expense? If anything, like the woman doing it for me it should be more permissible because she has to deal with the man's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I talked about this in my show yesterday. Men are not emotionally mature enough because we're not raised to be. Women are. But the women are raised to be emotionally mature, literally from Bukra bas tijawaz bidiktar fik. They're literally telling you have to deal with men's bullshit. That's why you have to be more emotionally mature. And men are told you don't have to be emotionally mature because women will deal with your bullshit. That's inexcusable. If we want a better society, that needs to fucking stop.
Amen.
Absolutely.
There you go.
It's not, you're not allowed as a man. Unless, once again, you're like a dude who's like, hey, man, I don't want to settle down. I'm not out to start a family. I just want to fuck around. And you meet a girl who's the same. 9 times out of 10, one of you ends up developing feelings and it spirals out of control. But maybe you're one of those few people that can make it work. All the power to you. There's no shame.
There you go.
Just don't lie. Marry somebody. Go up in a church or whatever or in front of the sheikh and proclaim your love in front of your loved ones. And then 2 days later, you're fucking somebody else.
Oh my! I
What's the point? Like, why are we doing this exercise? And in the Middle East, as somebody who works in nightlife,
Oh, I know. That's why you got a lot of temptation.
everybody. No, I'm not talking about me. I got no temptation.
You work in nightlife, you said?
I work in nightlife. I'm a comedian.
I know, but like
But
the
I'll-
temptation. And I mean, sorry. How
No,
many
no. There's.
people come
I
and
don't
flirt with you.
I feel
daily?
like people can flirt all they want, but whether or not you're open to it dictates it. I actually don't get hit on by a lot of people because I'm a very respectful person. It's awkward. If you put out the vibes, you'll receive them.
Interesting.
But
So
if
you
you
don't
don't-
on all of your tours and shows, and you had maybe 2,000, 4,000. I don't know how many people you had yesterday. And nobody flirted with you.
No, we did the meet and greet afterwards. Everyone's super respectful.
Wow.
Because I'm super respectful. It's hard to flirt with somebody who's like, "Thank you so much for coming to the show." Did
Men, are
enjoy
you
the
listening
show?"
to this? Women, are you listening to this?
I've always found it like, and plus I'm not like Brad Pitt, so I'm sure if I looked like Brad Pitt, maybe. But
You have a lot going for you, though.
thank you, I appreciate that. But I've always found people to be very respectful if you're respecting them. But
Hello.
if you're putting out vibes of disrespect, you're going to attract that. And yeah, people will hit on you and whatever. And if you lower the bar enough, yeah, you'll get people hitting. No, but I raise the bar with my own behavior, and people reciprocate.
Preach.
I'm
Preach.
just saying that I work in nightlife. Like my shows are at night, and dude, everyone's like, I would do shows in Beirut, in Jordan, in Saudi, in Dubai, and wherever I'm going. Everyone's fucking everyone. It was fucking insane. The newer generation is better at being faithful to each other than our parents' generation.
Interesting.
It's insane the amount of
Well,
stuff that I've seen, and it's like everybody knows, but they're still together and they're giving STDs to each other, just like insane stuff.
Wow, that's an interesting perspective.
And the fact that we live in such an unstable society and there's so much instability in the faithfulness of spousal marriages out there isn't a coincidence.
Wow, interesting. I'm going to do the worst transition in a podcast ever, going from cheating to talking about mothers. So this
I'd
is,
love to. Oh, that's great.
So
Mothers,
this is
you mean
probably
the,
the worst transition.
No, you mean the backbone of why we have some semblance of a society?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love when you say that, and I know you say that a lot.
Bro, because I know it.
Yeah, for sure. But the question I have is like, what makes me laugh the most is Lebanese Arab mom jokes. And my mom gets so mad at me when I tell jokes about like when she went to Vegas and watched Celine Dion at Caesar Salad.
She said Caesar.
Like, she's like, you're embarrassing me, mama. I'm not khalas. You're making me look stupid. And khalas. And my mom gets so mad at me. So my question to you is like, when you
Oh my God, man. I may steal that. That was so funny.
Take it.
At the Caesar, we went to the Caesar salad.
So for me, I was just like, my mom gets very sensitive. Do your parents, do anybody in your family be like, Nimmer, مش ضروري تخبر. You don't have to tell that story.
My dad was definitely more sensitive than my mom. But my mom was around stand-up from a young age in London. She grew up in London. So my mom's just like super proud. Like she's like my biggest champion. She's up in the shows. I think the way I view women and the positive relationship I have with women and the deep understanding of how powerful women can be is because I was raised by an incredible woman.
Amen
And
to Nimmer's mom. Her name?
Yeah, Hiam.
Shout out to Hiam.
Love you,
Shout
mom. And she'd sacrifice so much for us to be happy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's like a Lebanese mom thing. All of our moms sacrifice so much, whereas the fathers tell us they sacrifice, and they did. But the fathers keep reminding you. And the mothers, they just do it.
My dad's like, I used to study in the stairwell with no light. We didn't have electricity.
Nobody had electricity.
I had to study in stairwell light, and you are here complaining about...
Every father, nobody was raised with any modicum of like wealth whatsoever from our parents' generation. If you hear their stories, they were all like suffering and just the worst things. But the reality is, man, I feel like mothers really like all the war, all the conflict in the Middle East, men. There is no woman. If you come and you say, name a woman who caused political problems in the Middle East in the last 200 years, there's no one. The only thing they can think of is African, Cleopatra, if you're going to go back. And that was just because a bunch of men were horny and didn't know how to deal with their emotions. And they started wars over it. Men are, whenever people say women can't be in positions of power because they're too emotional, they're going to start wars. I'm like, that makes perfect sense because men have never started a war ever. Like, it's the most asinine shit I've heard in my life. I feel like the people who deal with the most should be the ones who lead the responsibility the most. I'm ready for a woman-led society.
There you go.
I'm sick and tired of a male-led society. I've been saying
I'm with you on that.
For years,
I'm
for
with you
over
on
a
that.
decade.
You can see that our podcast, most of them are girls.
We've got a lot of women on the team.
I had a company in Lebanon before I left and moved to the U.S., a production company. And at our zenith, we were 14 employees. And every one woman would do the job of 3 men. And I remember one thing happened where we messed up a shoot and we had 3 women and they cried. They cried because they were so passionate about it. Oh. And the men were like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I remember looking and I'm like, holy shit. Like, that was a big awakening for me. This was in 2012.
Yeah.
And I remember looking there and I was like, my God, like this isn't their project. This is my project, right? These people are just being paid by me. I'm not giving them any different treatment. In fact, if anything, I was closer to the men because you don't get, they're women. You don't want to be the sleazeball. And with the guys, like, you can be bro, whatever. And to see these women care enough that they would cry over something that isn't their own. And then the men were just like, kind of like, like, hey, bro, ma'uli, yalla nshufak bukra. And I was like, and then seeing the skill set, like, I remember I would hire a guy, I would hire a girl. And then eventually the guy's like, and it's like, nah. And then the girl has to deal with a lot of shit, right? Like, a girl has to deal with a lot, just as much as men. She's getting stuck in the same traffic. She's getting stuck. And they have their monthly, like, I can't even imagine, but they get cramps and shit. Men don't have that fuck. They never complain. And then I would fire a guy and then talk to the girl. I'd be like, if I gave you his job and added half his salary, would you do it? She's like, oh, of course, because she has all this free time. They always finish ahead of time. They're always done. They're organized.
I agree with that. I mean, like, for example,
so
the
much
teleprompter,
better.
man. I mean, we just changed the team, and the teleprompter is run by a woman now, and it has never run better than any episode, bro.
Women
the
care.
teleprompter was like that.
Women care. And then I ended up having some of these women. I was like, hey, for this show, I'm not going to be there. Do you mind taking it over? Without any direction. With the man, it's like, do you mind taking over? I tell the girl, do it. She'd be like, yeah, of course. And it would be way better than if I did it. And I'm the guy who did this. And then, but I wouldn't be like, what the fuck? I would be like, oh shit, we need more women. That was my conclusion. Whereas for some bizarre reason, because men are raised to be the center of attention in the Middle East, if somebody does a better job than them, their initial reaction is, I need to push this guy out of the picture because I got to be the CEO. And I'm like, I want to make money. So if you can do it better, by all means, fucking do it.
That's a
so
good
I can
mentality.
make more money.
I like that. That's
I
a
want money. I'm not in.
mentality.
Why am I doing a
There you
business
go. To not make money?
No, am I doing a business so that people call me the CEO?
There
And
you
then I
go.
have debt? The fucking stupid ass backwards mentality.
Hire women. There you go.
Hire women if you get the opportunity to at any, and if you find women that are smart and you're the boss, just take a few sick days and let them take over and see what happens.
I love that. I love that. And I
Yeah.
love that you say that. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about the process of your comedy. And that's because yesterday I watched you and I was like, he spoke for 2 hours. How does he do it? My question is, first, do you have a good memory? I don't.
No.
And
ADHD.
how do you memorize for 2 hours?
I don't.
So how did you memorize and how did you speak for 2 hours?
I have ADHD just like you. We have no memory.
Zero memory.
Forget about it.
I mean,
forget.
I need an iPad, otherwise I don't know.
Did you remember yesterday there was a point where I blanked out in the show and I was like, what was I talking? What did we?
Yeah, but I thought that was part of the act.
No.
But you played it off so well.
I didn't play it off. I was just being honest.
Oh, okay.
I told everybody I have ADHD. That's the beauty about being an honest fucking person. People are like, it was so natural because you're not making shit up. You're just like, I got ADHD and I forgot. I don't know. I'm just gonna, how are you guys doing? And everybody laughed. They're like, Sumahdum. He made it a joke. I just genuinely didn't remember. So I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of having a bad memory. We all have our handicaps.
Yes.
You know, but you turn it into a strength because I was able to make a joke out of it, so it worked out. I have no memory. I don't memorize my sets. I just keep doing them and doing them and doing them until eventually I've done the show like 200, 300 times. And then I don't have it memorized. I just have the message is I know what I'm trying to say and I know which examples I'm trying to convince you guys with. The order at which they're going to come, the pacing and the rhythm, those are going to change every show.
Every show.
Yeah.
But you have your little paragraphs or sets. And then
I do. But since this is the beginning of the new show, a lot of it is very improvised and spontaneous.
Yeah.
And I go home and listen to yesterday's show, take notes, and I'll start laughing because I have no memory of what I was saying because I'm in the zone. So I'm just out there. I'm just feeding off the energy of the crowd. That's why the show kept getting better as it kept going along because people were laughing. It was feeding to me and I was getting funnier. They were laughing more and feeding. It's like a endless loop. So by the end of the show, you have something magical. If you're worried about what you're saying, then you're focusing on the words. But if you're worried about the energy, then you're focusing on the crowd. So after the show, I'll go home and I'll listen and I'll start laughing. I'm like, oh, that was fucking hilarious. I'll write it down and then I'll read it before I go on stage next time, put it in my subconscious.
Yeah.
And hopefully it finds its way back in. If it finds its way back in enough times, then I start to remember it and then it becomes a part of the show.
I'm with you on that. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have an editor? Do you have someone who tells you, Nimmer? I mean, that was too far, bro.
Oh, I have everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah, which is what I listen to feedback. The meet and greet yesterday. Did you enjoy the show? I asked them, like, what did you think of the production? Did you think the sound was good? Anything you didn't like? And people will tell me, the bit that you did about this was so funny. And if I hear that from enough people, I'm like, I got to make sure I keep that one in.
Yeah.
Some people will come. The people I surround myself with are the most critical of me. From my wife.
You don't have an actual someone on your team that edits?
No, zero. No.
Zero. It's just you.
No, it's just me and my loved ones, and they're honest with me. My agent Nader, my wife Vanessa, my sister Maria, my parents, everybody. They give their opinions. I listen. I don't always agree, but I always listen.
Okay, the question is, how do you change your material from one place to another? Like if you're performing, I watch you in New York, I watch you here. I see there are some differences. How do you change it? And I couldn't believe I was sitting at the show yesterday. We're literally at a Dubai mall outdoors, and you're cussing, and bro, and we're talking about fucking a lettuce, and you're talking about I think that's another pioneer of something new. So
I am the pioneer of fucking lettuce.
Yeah, we're at a Dubai mall and you're cussing.
Yeah.
Did you have to change some things for the Dubai show?
I feel like in every country in the Middle East, it's fine to cuss. It's not okay to be vulgar.
Okay, talk a little bit about that.
There's a huge difference. I tell this to every comedian I work with. I say, cuss, say whatever the fuck you want. Don't be vulgar. So if you're up there going I'm fucking this bitch and she's sucking my dick and okay.
Censors. Beep, beep, beep.
That is vulgar.
Okay.
But if you use the words fucking, sucking, and dick in different contexts, right? That's not vulgar. If you're like that,
not cut this.
If you say that guy, don't be a dick.
There you go.
Right? I was fucking furious. This shit sucks. You still have the same words, but there's no vulgarity. Do you hear what I'm
true.
saying?
Look at you, man. Yeah.
That's the power of language. And we live in the Middle East where people kill each other
Correct.
over literally which religion you were born into.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to come and tell me, Nimmer, you can't cuss, I'll be like, when you stop killing, I'll stop cussing. We'll do it like that. There's a huge hypocrisy where people take like my cussing. It's not the words you're using. It's whether or not there's a message. Are you being vulgar for the sake of being vulgar? Not cool by any standard. Any comedian in the US who just goes up and cusses just to cuss isn't funny. But any comedian who uses bad words but is funny, you don't hear the bad words.
100%.
You don't hear them. You're hearing the joke. You're hearing the thing. And the language is just a decoration. So I think that's just don't be vulgar, but it's fine to cuss.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I was looking around, you were like cussing. I was like looking around. I'm like,
oh no, everybody was laughing.
Is someone gonna pull him off stage?
They're not hearing the cussing.
Oh yeah.
And plus, the cussing doesn't make the joke. When I cuss, it's
of
not.
course.
Yeah,
No,
so,
I
which is important.
But I mean, you've got courage. We got to give it to you.
I guess.
Yeah.
I just like to cuss sometimes.
So
it's just funnier. It's funnier than saying like if I'm talking about Jordanians telling a woman shuya khassi because they think she's hot, right? It's funnier to be like, yeah, well, that's whenever I look at produce, I think, man, I really want to fuck that lettuce. It's way funnier than saying when I think of produce, I really want to fornicate with the lettuce. I really want to reproduce. Yeah, it's still funny, but it's like
it hits harder.
But it hits harder when you're like, I want to fuck because the act of telling a girl shuya khassi, catcalling a girl, is a vulgar thing, and my language needs to match that. Like there's a wordsmithing going on. I say fuck a lettuce because if people are like that, then why are you saying shuya khassi?
There you go.
So there's a point to it.
There you go.
So as long as there's a point to it, it's not about cussing. It's about literally making a point. So I'm trying to make a point. If I'm talking about ISIS blowing people up and I'm making comedy out of it, I'm trying to hit on ISIS, I'll use the F word because their actions are reprehensible. I want to elevate. I use a word and I don't cuss a lot. I'll cuss very selectively because when I do, people, it like perks them up. So you got it. But if you're saying fuck every 5 seconds, bitch, shit, dick, whatever, it doesn't. It becomes the vernacular is that. So, language is fascinating.
The way you think. For a Lebanese president coming in 2026.
I'm not even remotely qualified.
But we need someone like you.
Maybe in 10, 15 years, 20 years.
I mean, no one is qualified running the government. Let's be honest.
I feel like Lebanon needs somebody who's super, super connected, qualified, intelligent, to handle the problems. It's not. I don't think it's enough just to have good intentions.
100%.
I actually don't think Lebanon needs somebody. I need somebody who has good goals but knows how to have bad intentions in Lebanon. You're dealing with the worst criminals in the world. You got to know how to be a criminal. You got to
sad truth.
Sadly,
sad truth.
To be able to organize Lebanon, you got to dominate the underground, disgusting filth of our government, and you can't dominate it by being a good person.
Yeah.
And I'm not that person to dominate in a bad world.
Think about it. Maybe you could be a good president. Think about it.
If I become like Liam Neeson in my later years, and I get like a gruff voice and shit, and I'll be like, I'm coming for you. Like, yeah, maybe I'll do it.
We'll see.
Zelensky is not better than you, right?
Well, Zelensky, you see, what's amazing about Zelensky is that if you look at the population of Ukraine, when that war happened, they united, they fought. If we were in a similar situation, the Lebanese would be like, Russia, sit this one out, we'll do the fighting for you, and we would have fought each other. Because our society doesn't have a common goal. They do. So Zelensky can step in and definitely lead that unity. He didn't create it. He just led it and fostered it. In Lebanon, you need to first get the people their money back in the banks before we even start thinking of national unity. Like there's financial problems that the biggest minds in the world won't know how to fix. So yeah, I'm not even remotely qualified. I'd love to. I'd take a crack. I'm definitely more qualified than the clowns we have. But I feel like we need somebody that I don't know who. I have no clue who, but we need somebody.
So this is a little bit of a serious question right here, and the production wanted me to ask it. I'm very bad at serious questions. I mean, like they sometimes want me to turn to Oprah, but it's not going to work. I mean, I'm still a fucking clown. I mean, I love being
You know
clown.
that all of your questions so far have been serious.
Right.
Yeah. No, you're actually great, but you know what makes you better?
What?
Is that you're not boring. You're asking
Habibi!
serious questions in a very funny and engaging way. So don't sell yourself short, man.
Habibi Inta.
I'm being honest.
Then let me get real serious with
Yeah,
you.
let's go.
So you know that you've said this on online platforms and like in interviews that you want to like unite everybody and you want to like get more acceptance for the Arab community and
Yes.
make it more mainstream, all that
Yes.
stuff. Do you think that the content of Arabs are terrorists kind of like played over and over? Is it counterproductive to that mission?
Yeah.
So the whole time of using that comedy of like, oh, Arabs are terrorists, do you think that you should retire those jokes?
It depends what the jokes are. I will use that line when we're in a room in Hollywood, anywhere. If I do a show in Utah, in Ogden, Utah, and where it's like a total white audience.
Yeah.
They've never seen an Arab before. Giant dude on stage, loud voice, making them laugh. I'll throw it in. I'll throw it in because it makes it absurd. They just immediately realize, they're like, how the fuck are we calling these people terrorists? Sometimes it can be powerful in the right context. I do feel like if you're making the joke just the same, we go to the airport, I am terrorist, it's like, it's been overdone.
Yeah.
There's nothing clever or new. I feel like you can do anything as long as there's a perspective there that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying it because I actually do love your perspective, and I love the way you play it out, and I know you always do it just to break that stereotype, and you're calling the elephant in the room.
That's
and
exactly
then you're kind of like, this is the elephant. Let's break it.
Let's break it. This is
like,
it.
I'm totally with you on that. I'm not against you. 100%.
No, and I'll say like, we're the terrorists, and then later on in the show, I'll do a joke about what the Americans did to the Kurds.
Then you're like,
and then Americans in the crowd start to get very uneasy.
And, like,
and then I'll talk about how I ran away from home because my friend Matt, who is American, told me that if I run away from home, my parents will say yes to anything I want. And I ask Matt, I go, are you sure? And Matt says, I mean, of course, would I ever lie to you? And then I say, I couldn't think of a single time that an American ever lied to an Arab. And when I'll say that, and the entire American audience is like, ooh, like they become self-aware. So that terrorist statement in the beginning becomes more and more absurd once I just start putting American behavior on
blast. And you're
on
like,
blast.
well,
And it makes them realize that if I'm calling Arabs terrorists, then what the fuck are we? So we're going to tone it down on all fronts.
Yeah, and I love how you just describe about when like laughter, and if you can all laugh together,
so
it kind of, you call it everyone is agreeing together. You kind of put it in that way.
Yeah. You put two enemies together in a room and they both laugh at the same thing. You just broke more ground in that instant than you could have in anything. Am I right?
Because when you laugh together, it's
common ground.
You say you're accepting. You're agreeing.
You're agreeing together.
That's insane. I love it.
So if you want to discuss like a peace process, usually you start out with a joke.
Bring a comedian, bro.
Bring a comedian in and be like, you start making jokes, and somebody who's intelligent and even-handed on both sides can build a lot of ground between two warring parties.
Yeah.
By using humor to quickly reach little jumps and milestones instead of staying on what divides you. Focus a bit on what you
100%. And I love what you're doing, and I think it's very important. And I think everybody needs more Nimmer in their lives. And I think that what you're doing is really like almost everybody's like, Ma, you should go to this healing meditation. I'm like, go to Nimmer's show.
Go to
bro. You're gonna get way more healing out of that.
I'm biased, obviously, but yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
No, but
fuck yoga.
Fuck yoga. Go to Nimmer.
Nimmer.
That's the biggest healer you can ever find. Because for me, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday, I got some terrible business news. I don't want to be like a pity me hoo hoo, but I was we were having a meeting to discuss you and like stalk you on the internet. And I was like, guys, I'm off today. I'm like, my brain is not working. I'm just in a very bad mood. I got some terrible news, and I don't even know if I can sit through a comedy show and laugh. Like, I don't even know I can do this. I'm just going to go because, I have to, and he's my friend to support him. And I'm also going because, I'm interviewing today, but I would go anyway. But I'm trying to set you up.
You just weren't in the right space.
I wasn't. I literally sat there. I was like, I don't even know if I can laugh. Bro, belly laugh, knee slapping. I was like, I left that place. I felt like I was just like baptized. I mean, the things that you do is literally like a healing, honestly. And
that's the biggest compliment you could give a comedian. Thank you.
Wallah. And I felt like
I'm sorry for what happened, though.
Yeah, I mean, we can get through it. And it's very fixable, so we're fine. Okay. But I'm just telling you that it's insane. And I genuinely love what you're doing. Support you all the way. You're my brother.
Yes.
Till forever.
Right back at you.
My brother. I mean, we're like the same person, by the way. You realize 100%. that? We're both tall, loud, fucking ADHD. It's just I can't do this. I'm a little more flexible than you.
I don't have the flexibility of a log. I'm going to try it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
This actually isn't bad.
Not bad. Look at you. Looking good, man.
Thank you.
Looking good.
Thank you.
So we're kind of getting closer. I just want you to talk about, I want you to promote your tour, and I want you to tell us about Twitch.
Australia. I'll see you in May. Those are my next shows coming up. Australia is my third time back with the Sydney Comedy Festival, Brisbane Comedy Festival, Amazing. Melbourne, and Perth. Very excited. And then starting this summer, soon, there'll be an announcement for Lebanon. And we're aiming for July.
That's going to be big.
Yeah, and very special. We're going to be doing it in a venue. People are going to be very excited for a reason. I don't want to give it away, but...
Please say Biel. I don't answer. I'm not going to look at your face.
It's not Biel. I can tell you from now it's not Biel for the simple reason I adore Biel, but people take 3 hours to get out of that place after the show is done because the roads are bad. And that's why once I did the
sweet
show,
of
my
you.
last show in Biel was like 6,000 people, and it was like for hours. And I was like, I can't put people through this. So I'm going to be doing a lot of small, as I've been doing, 1,500 people shows are the sweet spot for traffic. So we'll do like 10 of those. We'll be doing like about 10 of them probably this summer.
You have like a residency. I
Kind
love
of
it.
like a residency, but I'm in the last summer I did the shows. They were amazing. O is an incredible venue, and I was doing 2 shows a night, and I felt that I was rushing the meet and greet.
Yeah.
So this year we're going to do 1 show a night, so I can spend more time with everybody, and everybody can get their thing. So
That's so smart.
it's just because, man,
smart.
I wouldn't be anywhere without these people.
Yeah.
End of story. So that's Lebanon coming this summer, and then the U.S., Europe, Canada tour begins in September. I took some time off to kind of focus on my health. I'm trying to get back into the gym.
Good on
I
you,
want to
man.
get back into shape. I want to do that and work on the material for the new show. These 2 shows were very important, Qatar and Dubai.
Yeah.
Because I tried out the new show. I'm going to go back to LA, work the clubs, work a lot of the material again, tune it, change a lot, build the show. Like the people who saw the show may have seen the only version of the show that you'll ever hear. We'll see
well
what it ends up being in the summer. But that's what I'm going to do for the stand-up. And in the meantime, I'm streaming on Twitch. I love streaming on Twitch. I play video
You racked
games.
up a deal with them.
No deal. I
Why
have
specifically only Twitch? Why not YouTube? Why not Titter?
the community.
Titter. What is
Titter.
Titter. That's a new app. You and I Titter.
My tits aren't that nice. But
Twitter.
Twitter. No, I feel like Twitch, what's really cool about it, the community on Twitch is so wholesome and beautiful. I just love being there. The energy is incredible. And and nobody from the Arab world, very few people. My friend here, where is he? Ahmad. He's from Twitch, but he's like, there's only like 4 or 5 people in Dubai. It's mainly just Europeans, Americans who had no idea who the fuck I was. I didn't become good on Twitch because of my clout. I built myself up just like any other streamer.
Wow.
So it's very nice because it keeps me sharp.
Yes.
There are people who aren't laughing because it's Nimmer. They're laughing because it's funny. So it's important for my comedic and my artistic point of view to develop that. And I love video games. It's the coolest thing in the world that we live in a world now where I can sit down, play video games, interact with the community, and together we can create magical moments with cheers and crazy funny stuff, and they clip it and we re-edit it, and you just develop this beautiful. There's nothing like it in the world. I know that Twitch isn't big in the Middle East, and streaming gaming isn't big in the Middle East, but that's, I believe, the future where we're headed. Live streaming is the future, and for my goal, which you asked me at the beginning, and I'm so glad you asked me about that.
I know, full circle moment.
Of one day live streaming a stand-up comedy show. That's why I'm on Twitch. Like, that's going to help me achieve that goal where I need to grow that world with the IRL world of people coming to my shows in real life, and one day find a way to marry them into this incredible experience that you can only pull off if you work at it for like 30 years.
Man, I wish you lots of world domination. I bring it full circle
Thank
from
you,
the
man.
beginning. I mean, you're literally...
I hope you'll still be my friend by then.
Are you kidding me? Of course
Because you're
I will,
getting
man.
more famous. We'll see if you remember, but I'd love to have you at
You're
that
my
show.
brother for life. I love you and support you to the nth degree. And again, I want to say you are just killing it. Keep going. We support you. Anything you need.
Thank you,
You're
man.
always welcome back here. And definitely, if you got a little smile out of this podcast, please make sure you click that subscribe button. The more subscribers we get, the more it gets. We give you content, amazing content like this, and amazing guests
Support
like
this
Nimmer.
kind of stuff. Support this, man.
Habibi.
The more we support people like this, the better the Middle East will become if you're in the Middle East. But honestly, the better the world will become. We need people like you to have a bigger voice so that we have a better world.
Habibi, I agree with you, and I right back at you. And to end it with, there you go. Always, good energy is contagious. Go out and spread it. Thank you for watching Wingman. Goodbye. Amazing.